Hello everyone, Underdog Chris here, back to bring you all another video. This time I'll be going over a brief theory that I have for the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex story. This one in particular dealing with the Kara scientist Sanzu Amado. In this video, I'll be asking the question of whether or not I think the cyborgs that he created would be likely to rebel against him. This probably sounds like a bit of a stretch right now, considering there are other more pressing things that are going on in the story at the moment, but I would like to explain my reasoning for why I think this could be a legitimate plot point at some point in the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga. So with that being said, I'll get started. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex actually started publication in August of 2023. As of this recording, there are currently 8 chapters in circulation, and when this sequel to the Boruto manga first dropped, there were a few questions that the fans had which were answered as the chapters had gone on. For example, by the end of chapter 3 into chapter 4, we see that Sasuke became sealed in a tree while protecting Boruto from Code. Then, a Ten-Tails Claw Grime with his looks and chakra signature and the Rinnegan show up, which was something people were wondering about as Sasuke was noticeably absent from the action. One other shocking revelation is the fact that Kosen Koji, Amado's cyborg clone of Jiraiya, is actually still around. This particular revelation was actually pretty important for various reasons. Firstly, the last time we saw Kosen Koji was all the way back in Boruto chapter 48, which was released on September of 2020, and in this chapter, Kosen Koji had fled from his battle with Ishiki using a reverse summoning jutsu, and when he fled, people were trying to theorize as to what happened to him. Did he succumb to his wounds? Was he on Mount Miyaboku? Or was he plotting revenge against Amado? I do want to touch on that last theory though, as with this video being about the Cyborg Rebellion, I do think it's a good idea to bring up. I mean, let's be honest. Amado practically set up Kosen Koji to be offered to the Otsutsuki slaughter. While Kosen Koji is aware of the concept that ninja are used as tools, and he did acknowledge that, going into the battle with Ishiki, I wouldn't be surprised if he felt some sort of animosity to the fact that Amado left him to die. There was no way Kosen Koji was walking out of that unscathed. In fact, Koji was lucky to escape at all. Amado, as of now, to our knowledge anyway, does not seem to be aware of this and assumes that Koji is long gone, so him pulling up to Konoha again at some point could prove trouble for the scientist. I mean, let's be honest, for all intents and purposes, Kosen Koji has some unsettled business with Amado and would not be in the best terms with him were they to meet now. But it also would not be out of the realm of possibility for Kosen Koji to get into contact with the other cyborgs. He could probably inform Ada and Daemon how Amado viewed him as expendable, which would cause the other two to raise their suspicions. Ada could verify Kosen Koji's story with her Senrigan, and then she could sick Daemon onto Amado and kill him. Or, in a poetic moment of irony, Koji could be the one to finish Amado himself as payback for the man leaving him for dead against Ishiki. Speaking of her though, Ada herself is not a fan of Amado and does not like the powers she was given and making everyone infatuated with her. She hates how she can't even find true love unless it's with an Otsutsuki like Kaaki or Boruto. She envies the fact that Sarada and Sumire did not have such a power, but she did seemingly bond with them towards the end of part 1. However, that doesn't change the fact that anyone who is seen as in love with her doesn't like her for her. It's merely because of this power she was given by Amado. She's forever stuck with this realization, and one day she could also see to it that Amado is out of the picture of her own volition. Now we move on to Delta, Amado's cyborg clone of his dead daughter Akabe. She's a bit of a trickier subject. She does seem like she's the most obedient of all the cyborgs to Amado at this time, and with Delta's later appearances, she doesn't seem to be as hot-headed, angry, or as ill-tempered as she used to be in her debut. Amado also had multiple Delta clones in the past, but as of now, we don't know if he still does, but I do want to continue this video under the pretense that he doesn't. Let's just say that the Delta we see now is the only Delta there is. Even with Delta's more laid-back, docile nature now, I doubt that she would be fine with co-signing a plan where her own consciousness is overwritten for the sake of Amado's dead daughter, Akabi. She could possibly lose her temper and in a fit of rage also kill Amado. Now after Delta, there's Code. Code was another one of Amado's cyborgs, but he always seemed to be having his own agenda. He was always doing his own thing, much like the other cyborgs, but it doesn't make him any less of a candidate for possibly getting rid of Amado, despite his many losses. Code adored and looked up to the Otsutsuki. He was Ishiki's most faithful servant. His whole purpose is to serve the Otsutsuki, and so finding out that Amado staged this years-long coup against Kara is not something that Code would take lightly. He has threatened Amado's life before and would not be afraid to do it again, especially considering the fact that it's because of Amado's treachery that Code has been backed into a corner and has taken L after L after L in the first place. But Amado, in an act of self-preservation, did remove Code's limiters, but he had also been shown to be quite the crafty guy, having Ada, Daemon, and Delta somewhat on his side in case they are needed. In fact, it's a miracle that someone like Amado has made it this far. He's gotten so bold, in fact, that he reveals to Sai, Sumire, and Shikamaru that he knows something is up with his memories, so he could be slipping up, or it could all just be a part of his plans, though it does seem like I may be forgetting someone. Oh yeah, Kaaki. Now, as for Kaaki, Naruto's adoptive son who switched lives with Boruto, Naruto's biological son, he doesn't seem to have any qualms about Amado, at least currently. While Kaaki isn't exactly fond of the man, I believe that with the threat of the Ten-Tailed Shinju's, Code, and the return of Boruto, Kaaki has his hands full. He may not really have much of a reason to go after Amado in this moment in time, which is why I theorize that he's going to be the least likely to act out against them. It's not entirely impossible, but just most unlikely. A lot of people think that Amado's fate was actually going to be similar to that of Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball. Dr. Gero was also a mad scientist, much like Amado, but he was actually killed by his own creation, Android 17, very early on in the Android saga, and his future self also died to Android 17 as well. But Amado seems to circumvent this sort of trope, and due to his conniving nature, Amado is still alive to this very day in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. But despite that, I still think it's possible that Amado could possibly die due to one of his own creations rebelling against him. However, there is one thing that calls this entire theory I have into question, and it's the fact that Amado does have shutdown codes for his cyborgs. We've seen him use them before, especially on Delta. However, if multiple of the cyborgs banded together and ambushed him when he's least expecting it, they could get the job done. But we have been shown time and time again that Amado is a very crafty individual. So, in the event that a cyborg rebellion were to go down, he would have many contingency plans in place and other safeguards up his sleeve to ensure his survival. However, only time will tell how Amado's fate will play out in the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex story. And with that being said, that's about it for this video. I enjoyed making this one as it's on the shorter end of things, but despite that, there's a lot of discussion to be had when it comes to Amado in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. He's one of the more interesting characters, as we are always very wary of what he says and does, often dropping bombshells or very important tidbits of information. Either way, his presence does have an impact on the plot, whether or not he makes it to the end of 2 Blue Vortex. If you enjoyed this video or want to keep the discussion going, you can like, comment, and subscribe while also following my Twitter linked in the description. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day.